For me, everyone froze, but I think there's also something with my internet.
Looking fine here.
All right, we're live on YouTube. So we can go on with our chit-chat for 10 minutes, and then we'll start the event officially.
Wonderful.
Oh,
So welcome everyone, and also welcome everyone online. Let's see who is joining us. How are you all?
Good. How are you?
All good, all good. Thank you for joining us today.
So let's quickly check in where our panelists are connecting from today.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with Nanette, maybe.
Let's
start with you to see where you're connecting from.
Oh, I'm connected from the Impact Hub in Amsterdam.
Nice.
Yeah, there's co-working here, and well, actually they're going to close the co-working, so from January I will be working somewhere else.
oh, really? So are they moving, or are they just like?
No,
stopping?
I think the co-working, of course, isn't as lively as it was before, and they're also doubting a little bit whether the co-working is still an activity they want to continue. Considering also the landscape for impact startups changed and in the last few years, so they were going to change focus. There was something that was in the plans already, but now because it's not, it's not the same as it was before. It's just accelerated the shift.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
that's unfortunate.
But I know that other co-workers are actually right now doing quite well. But they also focus on co-working a little bit more. Because I was at a co-working last week at Collab. It was quite busy. I mean, and there was people had space and they kept their distance, but they were actually every day fully booked for the capacity they had.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I can understand, because you also want to have different walls from time to time. So
Exactly.
I understand that maybe people want to go, maybe also try out different co-working spaces.
What about the other guests? Where are you tuning in from? Fernanda?
Sure. I'm in London at home. Been working from home. We just got out of lockdown, but still in tier 2. So still not leaving for non-essential things. So yeah, I've been also looking forward to seeing some different 4 walls at some point. But I've reconciled myself. It won't be till next year.
Yeah.
It has been on and off with the lockdowns over there. In the Netherlands, we didn't really feel lockdowns per se. The guidelines were being tightened, here and there, but it wasn't as strict. But we were hearing the news from the UK.
Yeah.
I did hear that in the UK, restaurants are open.
They're open, but you're only allowed to eat indoors with members of your own household.
Oh, really?
Okay. Well, but it's more than we can do.
No restaurants for us.
Yeah. They
Well,
just
you can
reopened.
go to a hotel.
Yeah, I've actually had dinner at one of the hotels that I stayed in the last weeks, which was quite nice because I think I almost forgot how it feels to just go to somewhere to eat. So it was nice. Hey, Kelly.
Hello. Hi.
Hey, Kelly.
I made it.
Yay!
Good to see you all.
Good to see you.
Welcome. We're just doing a round to understand where our panelists are connecting from until everyone joins into the YouTube chat, and we'll kick it around 6 minutes. So Nanette is connecting from Amsterdam, Fernanda connecting from London, and we were just about to hear Romy.
Well, I am currently connecting from Enschede in the Netherlands. I'm just working from home, so this is sort of temporary, but already for a few months here in Enschede. but I'm working with the municipality in Amsterdam, so virtually moving myself to Amsterdam very often or to London, but mostly between the same walls in Enschede. Yeah, I'm also very much looking forward to work in different places and to be able to travel again. That would be really nice.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
So all your meetings with Amsterdam are virtual.
Yes, everything is virtual. So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
You get to learn a lot of different platforms. It is a struggle.
Yeah, that's a struggle. You also get to learn that some people are really struggling, and then you think, "Oh, this is easy, right?" And then apparently not.
No,
Yeah.
It's
Text illness, connection issues, small screens, all contributing to it.
yeah.
and are all of you in Eindhoven?
No,
I'm in Rotterdam.
yeah. And I am in Utrecht.
And Kira and I are in Eindhoven.
Yep.
Nice. Chiara with the nice lights behind
Yeah.
you.
I have to say I'm
Sponsored
very
by-
lucky.
This
I'm
in
very
our
lucky.
letters, right? What does it say? Or maybe I have to.
Oh, well, we have inherited a Red Bull sign from sort of like a place.
Oh yeah. Now I
We have closed off and they gave us our LED lights. And
I've now put the full screen. Now I can see it.
But this is a beautiful piece of art from another design studio we're sharing the office with, Object Density. And so we're very lucky that we get their very fancy product on. It gives a very nice ambience. So yeah, I am lucky that I can be in an office at least during the day, and then go home at night. So the same change of scenery, it's healthy. It's good. I'm grateful. Nice. It's almost, I see people connecting also on the chat.
Yeah.
La.
So how many people are at YouTube?
We have around
People
10
watching.
at the moment.
Yeah.
10 watching?
Yeah. Already 10 people watching. Cool. Very nice. I guess in a few minutes we'll get started then.
I'm really curious about all the stories.
Yeah, me too.
For sure.
But do you, Romy and Fernanda, do you know each other? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
You work together.
we studied together. Yeah, our masters.
Yeah. And we live together in Tokyo,
This is true.
Wow.
together
Oh.
with Chiara as well.
That's like an old friends meeting.
Yeah, this is like a nice little Christmas reunion.
Reunion indeed.
Yeah,
Thanks for inviting us.
Exactly.
It is really awesome actually to do this.
Yeah, Fernanda
Yeah.
even has a light behind her from what you created during.
Yeah, planet greenhouse.
Very nice.
Lives on.
Beautiful. Awesome. All right, we have 1 more minute and then we can get started.
Yes.
Fantastic. It's looking good on YouTube as well. So, oh, I like your Christmas tree, Sari. It's fun.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. It's from IKEA, and apparently then you pay €1 and then you get like €19 to spend in January. But then I didn't find the way to get there, and it was difficult with difficult road signs. And I was in the shop, but apparently I shouldn't been in the shop, so it was this chaos. And then the guy said, "Okay, the cash machine doesn't work, so you get it for free.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
wow.
I'm actually, that reminds me, I'm gonna turn on the lights of mine.
Go for it.
I only heard the robot sound, but apparently you guys.
Oh, nice.
Very cute.
I don't
There
know
you
what's happening,
have
but
my Christmas.
Is that a sustainable Christmas tree?
It's gonna be
Low
there for
energy.
very long.
Awesome.
All right. Hi, Michael. And Radha Krishnan said hello on
Michael.
the chat.
Nice.
Nice. Let's
So
start.
let's get started.
Yeah.
Okay. So welcome everyone to the last event of the year for UXify Eindhoven. For the newcomers, we bring the design community in Eindhoven together and recently together online with monthly events. So it's our last event, and there are probably many ways to describe 2020, as you can imagine. But one of these adjectives for us is successful, because if you look back at what happened with UXify Eindhoven in 2020, we worked on 12 events. So we kept our promise to bring one event per month during the whole year. So thank you so much for the UXify team, to Kiera, Kaylee, and Sarah. Although we had some difficult times, so we had to move all online in March, and since then we have been having online events, which created an opportunity for us to also have people from different cities and different countries. So Fernanda is joining us from London today, and Nanette and Romy are joining from different cities in the Netherlands. So it's also great for us to be able to make those connections. What's also noteworthy for us is that we have reached 1,000 members this year, so that was an accomplishment for us. And we introduced UX Meets Blank, so UX Meets a Topic, a Theme series. And we are really happy that we could touch upon important topics such as education, diversity, and sustainability, which brought us to the last event of the year and last event of the sustainability track. So what we're going to do today is just a recap on 2020 and what it brought to all of us, to our lives, to our profession. So we're going to be discussing those from the perspective of sustainability. And I would like to have a quick intro of the participants. So Romy is with us today, Romy Snijders, a Dutch multidisciplinary designer, and she's working on design, art, science, engineering, and culture, so quite a rich combination of topics. And when I was reading the bio, I was really interested in the part where she mentioned she's working on a project for Dark Matter Labs as a strategic design researcher. So maybe you want to add to that and give a bit more intro about yourself and the work that you're doing, Romy.
Okay, thank you very much for this introduction. Yeah, so I have finished this year with my degree, Global Innovation Design, master degree, and done some work sort of working on my final major project, Symbiotic Futures, which was shown at the Dutch Design Week. And then I was meeting with a lot of people doing some different kind of works, and then I was asked to work on this project for Dark Matter Labs, which is looking at sort of legal and juridical instruments to help the transition to a circular economy, because in Amsterdam there is this strategy for the circular economy, and they are looking at how we can sort of improve that, or what we can change in the way of legal and juridical instruments. So that is where I'm doing research for, and I will be doing that for a few more months. So yeah, that is what I'm currently busy with mostly.
Nice, super exciting. So welcome again.
Thank you.
Our next participant is Fernanda, and she is an innovation designer turned entrepreneur. She is currently working at Via Care, and with her co-founder, their goal is to eliminate the gender healthcare gap and helping women through menopause access the care that they deserve. Can you give us a bit more insights on what you're doing, Fernanda?
Sure, absolutely. So this year, this is an intense year, and no less because I started my company, BioCare, alongside my co-founder. So we're on a mission to support women going through menopause with research and increasing the amount of researches that we're doing around healthcare, but also, to provide better services. I think the pandemic has really shown that there's a need for better healthcare services across the board. And we know there's a huge gap in care for women specifically. So the world's kind of paying attention to healthcare and digital health recently. So it's a very interesting time to be working on something like this.
Wow, great. That's also interesting that maybe we can touch upon a few topics in connection with the diversity track that we're going to have. I think you'll probably have a few things that you want to share also from your experiences with your company. Welcome. Before moving on with Nanette, I'm actually seeing Wesley. Please keep doing these events, even when Corona is under control. So that's great to hear input like this, because it could also indeed be a combination of both worlds, trying to do the best of both worlds. So please feed us more so we can make the right decisions. So our next panelist is Nanette, and she is the founder of the Sustainable Fashion Gift Card, which. Yes.
Did we lose Berkay? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I sometimes don't really hear you that well, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think, Berkay, how's your connection?
Yes,
Maybe
I'm
I
back.
can. Okay, I can also introduce Nanette because Nanette and I actually met last year or before Corona in about banking and sustainability. Was it, Nanette?
Yeah.
Banking and sustainability, and then we just stay in touch. And she's been doing such a great work with the sustainable fashion gift card. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
And I thought we normally do things regarding UX, but really we love design. So I think when it comes to fashion, it has a lot to do with sustainability and with design. So that's why I invited her as well to be part of the panel, because as an entrepreneur, I think she can tell us a lot about how her journey has been. The introduction for Nanette, she lives in Amsterdam, as she mentioned already, and is the founder of the Sustainable Fashion Gift Card. Please go to their website. The gift card, the idea is that you can redeem at 60 plus sustainable fashion brands, web stores, clothing libraries, and experience shops, such as the Fashion for Good Fashion Museum. Before starting the Sustainable Fashion Gift Card, Nanette worked for years in the field of sustainability and communication within the financial sector and was socially active for organizations such as Amnesty International. Actually, we both worked at ING, and that's also part of how we met. And since 2017, she has been actively committed to a more sustainable fashion industry. She blogged and interviewed experts, which eventually led to the development of the Sustainable Fashion Gift Card. And so I think the next steps for her now are to focus on online and B2B sales for her products. That's quite impressive, Nanette, but is there something you would like to add?
Well, one of the things that I thought was also interesting to join this meeting is that if it's about UX design and user experiences, it's one of the things we're going to focus on, because making sure that the website is easy to navigate can also increase also my sales, and it also means that I can make more impact. So that's one of the focus points for the coming year, indeed. So we launched this year in April, and then we launched with the crowdfunding, which we successfully ended in June, and then we started to roll out, to slowly but surely actually run a business. And next year, it's really about growing the gift card, creating more awareness, and also really improve the website so it's really easy for people to understand, okay, how can I buy it, but also how can I see where I can redeem it, and so on. So that's what I do.
Thank you. And a very quick question: is it easy for people to understand the concept? What kind of feedback have you gotten regarding gift cards, fashion, sustainability? Like, I'm curious.
Well, the concept for people is easy to understand. They understand it's a gift card for sustainable fashion, which is also in the name.
Yeah.
But for people, it's quite hard to understand, okay, but if I can only redeem it at sustainable fashion brands or initiatives, what is it? I don't know them. Is it my style? Isn't it expensive? So the concept is clear, but then if you talk about clothing libraries, people are like, I've never heard of it. So that's going to be a challenge for next year. And hopefully we can also contribute in making that concept of sustainable fashion a little bit more tangible for people.
Great. Yeah, exactly. I think you can also tell us a bit more in a bit with the questions. Are you still there, Berkay?
Yeah.
We have the robot version of Berkay here.
The perks of the live stream.
But with a bit of delay, I think. The streaming plus the connection is quite heavy on my network at the moment. So I'll try to do the introduction and give the word to Sarah. So one thing to be aware of is that we're planning to go through a lot of topics in a limited time. So we might lead you to the next topic from time to time. Also good to realize for our viewers, if they have any questions, we won't be able to ask them during the presentations themselves or during the discussions themselves, but at the end we'll have a specific Q&A section, so the questions can be asked there. So let's kick it with Sarah. Sarah has the topic of sustainability meets education. So let's get the discussion started.
Yeah, thank you, Berkay. So sustainability meets education. I'm currently still studying part-time, and I'm studying at TU Delft Design for Interaction. Also, previously during my bachelor's at Industrial Design at TU Eindhoven, more and more lectures, courses, projects are focused around sustainability, whatever broad topic that might be. So actually for this discussion, I'd like to make a statement, and then you guys can either agree or not agree, and then we can get the discussion started. I thought to do it on posters, but now I'm thinking about it. Let's do a thumbs up for an agree and a thumbs down for disagree. It's more convenient probably. So the statement is design education should solely be focused around pursuing sustainable development goals. So solely, that's an important word. Give it a thought, and maybe we can count down 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. Kelly, Chiara, you can also join.
Okay. No.
All right, then I will do this too.
Okay.
I'm gonna take again. What is the question? I'm just gonna go against what everybody's saying.
Design education should solely be focused around pursuing the sustainability development goals. Maybe we can start with Romy. You had your thumbs down.
Yeah, it was mainly about the solely part, because I think that it should definitely be an integral part of education, and it should be considered at all time, basically. Like everything you design, it should be thinking about what are the social impacts, what are the sustainability impacts, what is like, am I including everyone? Am I excluding anyone? Is that on purpose? And I think that is super important. But I don't think it should be only about that, because we also need sort of everyday development, we need a lot of sort of diverse designers with a lot of skills, not just within this specific area, and therefore I put my thumbs down. But it is super important, and I think we need it a lot more than what is currently happening. It shouldn't be just one chosen subject or something like that within your education, but it should be massively integrated.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you said, like, you referred, I think, a little bit about the T-shaped designer, like more skills. Yeah, I was thinking, isn't it that you can also learn that through courses, projects within, or having an idea about, aren't we bringing more rubbish to the world, you know? So more this.
Yeah, I definitely think that is true. But if you just focus on pursuing those goals, I think, like, these headphones I'm wearing wouldn't have been designed probably, or the ways that we are now communicating through all these platforms probably would not be designed, because that is not necessarily a sustainable development goal. Yeah. Well, it can be maybe if you like sort of put things together, but then, like, I do think we also have these kind of everyday projects that make it possible to work on these things that we also need. And I don't know if I'm giving good examples, but I think that it should more be in the process and in the way, and definitely a lot more people should focus on it, but I don't think it should solely be focused on that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, someone wants to respond?
Sure, I have a potentially slightly more controversial, but in my experience, designers like to rebel against what's kind of institutionalized, and a lot of the best designs we have and the best processes we have come from innovating with what the structures and systems are. So I fear that creating a top-down enforcement of SDGs would potentially lead to rebelling against them, instead of empowering people to use them as one of the many potential frameworks to achieve positive change. So that's why I put my thumbs down.
Yeah, I think it's also good what you mentioned. Like, I'm always thought like, okay, this is the project brief, but you know, you're the designer. If you want to do something different, or you need different tools, or need a different framework, then go for this, you know. So I think that's cool that you mentioned that. Kelly, didn't you have your thumbs up?
Yeah, I had my thumbs up, and I think now that I want to keep it up as well, because if you think about education, I don't think it's really. I think especially at this moment in history is something positive to make it about sustainability, you know, because, and then in that sense I disagree with what Romy is saying at some extent, because I read somewhere that it said, like, if, like, when we were younger, we thought about technology and we thought about flying cars, and what we got was 280 characters, you know, like, then we just have all this freedom, and then we're gonna go that direction. But what is the real impact that we're having, you know? So maybe the fact that we steer more and make it the main focus, because the goals are quite clear. It's not like you have like, oh, now we're all gonna go out, plant trees, you know? It is really touches so many things that can make society better, that I will say, go ahead, go, just focus on that. That is already a lot of things to do in those goals. So yeah, you know, a bit of controversy.
So Chiara, you had like a few months ago, you had some sort of workshop, right? A week, really focused around these goals, and I think also students were involved, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is your opinion about this statement then?
I think I'm afraid that I agree with Fernanda in the sense that if we impose something top down and it becomes sort of like a little bit of tokenism, like, oh, now that we have one course about sustainable development goals, then we are a sustainable education program. That's I don't know. It doesn't really work for me in that sense. Like I'd rather, you know, have it a little bit more ubiquitous and more like subtle, perhaps across disciplines, rather than say, oh, we've done this thing. It's sort of like a PR thing, like, oh, we've done this. So So in a sense, what I've done a few months ago, was really like for me to understand what the landscape was in Eindhoven about the Sustainable Development Goals, and it turned out that there wasn't that much of a spotlight on them. So I hope that kind of like that first sprint into the Sustainable Development Goals is already, as far as I know, leading to more projects and more things. And that's how I like them, like a little bit more like spread out, a bit more rooted, rather than just, one thing that says, oh, one program that focus on this and then archive until the next year, basically. So that's a little bit where I come from. What about Nanette?
I think it's also about planting seeds, and then trying out these type of projects within these type of topics. And and also Nanette, what do you think?
Yeah, I also I doubted a little bit, thumbs up, thumbs down, and also in line with what Romy said, I chose the thumbs down, because if it's solely, it also means that everything else you automatically exclude. Well, I think I think Sustainable Development Goals should be part of what you do, and it should be promoted as a tool and as something that companies or designers in education should look at, and how that could work for you, and how it can be help you in which direction you go. But I think we should also we also continuously learn, and maybe in a few years you have new insights, you learn more things, and maybe you need to update them, or maybe there's another criteria or another framework, like the donut economy. So just enforce that this is the way to go. I think it will narrow our minds too much. And then for all the other things like the whole rebellion thing, I think sustainability is really about a mindset. You can do all these things and say, oh, it's sustainable, but if you only do it because it's a tick, it will not lead eventually, I think, to a sustainable world. We really need to feel it and not just say, this is the SDGs. If you tick all the boxes, you're fine. So, yeah. So that's why
I totally agree. Yeah.
I also have one more concern with this topic. If it would be solely focused on that you get like when you would.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here
Now we're back on
as well. And it stopped because we passed the 1 hour mark in the whole. So from the very beginning of the recording, it was already 1 hour. So that's why. But we should be back on right now.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, perfect. Is this also, I really love this discussion, but I think we also have to keep an eye on time because, Berka, you also mentioned we're already a few, quite some time in the live.
Yeah.
So I think I will pass on the discussion to Kelly, and she will talk about sustainability meets diversity.
Yes. So there has been a lot of discussion this year regarding diversity and inclusion. #Black Lives Matter. Today, we know more about how certain aspects of identity can and unfortunately are being used as means of exclusion. Think about gender, race, religion, ethnicity, age, sexual orientation, disability, etc. So the World Bank has changed its social development strategy to social sustainability and inclusion strategy to reflect the need of addressing barriers that many people have that keep them from fully participating in society. So it is in the agenda. I'm going to be quite bold with this question. Which one do you think is more important? So you're going to use this one for the first one, and so paper for the environmental sustainability and rock for social sustainability. Which one do you think is more important? Environmental sustainability, social sustainability. Think about it. Okay, Nanette has made her mind. Good. Romy is also going for the environmental. Just as Chiara, Fernanda. Sarah, Berkay, what is it yours?
I was watching on the technical side, so I missed the question. So please go ahead.
Okay, you can say then at the end of the round. You can use some input from the ladies. You want to go, Fernanda? You said that environmental sustainability.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly difficult question because they're very linked. But I think ultimately, if we don't achieve environmental sustainability, it will be impossible to achieve social sustainability. And while social sustainability is incredibly important to achieving environmental sustainability, ultimately, if we don't achieve environmental sustainability, we'll have mass migration, we'll have like all these incredible social consequences that will mean we will achieve neither, whereas it might take us longer. But again, it's such a difficult question. But I think that's why my logic for environmental, but I'm happy to hear what other people have to say.
Nanette, you went for social environment, sustainability. Yeah, tell us about it.
Well, for me, it's the other way around. I think if you like for me, the planet, like a lot of people say, you know, we don't have to do it for the planet because the planet will still be there. It's just us that probably won't survive. So for me, it's the other way around. If we don't make sure that we can continue to live, if we want to make sure that we continue to live, because that's what we want. We all want to have a good life. We need to address environmental sustainability, because if we don't, then we have no future. So therefore, for me, the perspective is more like, if we care about next generations, if we care about others, then you automatically need to care for the environment. And you can care for the environment, but maybe then not for, the people. But I think, we do it because for me, maybe for others, it's others, but for me, I do it for future generations. And then automatically the environmental part is, of course, hugely important, because without an environmental part, so that's why, for me, the key is social. Or at least it's not the key. I mean, they're interlinked and all of that. But if I have to choose, then I approach it from the social perspective.
Yeah, I did it intentionally to make you fight on inside on those two. Romy, would you like to add something to that?
Well, I was very much thinking across the same lines as Fernanda. So that is why I also chose environmental sustainability, but I very much agree that you need both, and you need both ways of thinking to address both. And I think, what is happening sort of in the world is very much aligned towards this change that we need, that is useful for both. And so it's almost an impossible question, and it's very, very hard to answer, but they're massively intertwined.
Yeah, indeed. Sarah, you also went with environmental, I think?
Yeah, I was thinking about the workshop we had with Tiny Studio about the environment where you're living in, and thinking about that holistic view, and not that the person is in the center, but the surrounding is in the center. And so that's why I thought, maybe then we should first think about the environmental sustainability. But I totally agree with what everyone's saying. But I think it's like a chicken egg story,
Yeah,
it really goes hand in hand.
But Kai is going with environmental.
I made my mind up.
Yeah.
After listening both perspectives, I think I value it, and it was a bit of a difficult decision for me as well. But then I realized that the moment you talk about social aspect of it, you kind of exclude people, Homo sapiens, from the rest of the environment. And I thought, if we are responsible towards the environment, towards the planet as is, without the involvement of the people, just respect it because of its nature, is probably an inherent movement that we can have, and that probably also benefits the social side. But indeed, difficult one to make.
Chiara, would you like to add something?
No, not really. I mean, what I really like about all of your arguments is that you can say pick a side, but all these arguments are great arguments to kind of lead in the same direction. So, yeah. I mean, it's just great. This is the kind of like disagreeing that I like, in the sense that it's helpful, it's critical, but also it's clear that we want to go in the same direction. So that's fantastic. So great.
Yeah, I think it's important that like both of these changes are happening, you know, and maybe in like for yourself you can also make a decision. Okay, this is my skills that I can use to improve this direction, and other people have different skills that they can. But I think it's most important that we are aware where we're working to with each other.
Definitely.
Yeah, but what I wanted to add to that is that if you look at the environmental priorities for countries, is normally on the richest countries, because the poorest countries are busy with getting to the next day. So that's why I did to the social sustainability, because if you look at that as a trend, then you can also see that if the more we are feeling better, we're having a good quality of life, the more people are empowered for their own lives, the faster they're gonna get to that consciousness of caring also beyond their next day, but really looking into the future and looking into the next generation.
On the other hand, in poor countries, is that because they don't have so many means and they cannot fly everywhere because they don't have money, they have the least footprint. So they may be not as conscious, but you could say they don't really need to, because they're not even consuming as much as we do, and they're not traveling as much as we do. So
I don't know. I might disagree, because I think there are a lot of economies of extraction, and I think the part that's missing in this equation actually is about economic sustainability.
Yeah.
And how can we move from an economy of extraction into a sustainable economy? And that bridges the gap, right, between the environmental and the social.
100%.
No, but the fact, if we talk, because you said, if you're poor, you're busy with the next day. So it's not really about the economy in third world country, but if you're poor, you're also not able to consume as much and pollute as much and etc. as others.
Yeah.
I'm also like
disagree, because like I'm from Brazil, for example, where there's a huge economy of extraction that's kind of burning down our rainforests right now. And that's just to get us to
that's also true. And I'm from the Philippines, and I also saw people who but I think both is somewhere a little bit true. But to say that poor people, it's better if they do better because then they're more conscious. Yeah, I'm not sure whether I agree with that statement.
Yeah, well, what I also meant is not only about the individual impact, in that sense. Then you make a very good point there. Like indeed, my probably my footprint is now higher than when I was in Colombia, and I was just student, like just living it the next day. But it's more about, like, I think I look at it more like from Fernanda's approach, because indeed, like, what is happening in the environment there is like a lot of the garbage from the from these countries are ending up in the other countries, and nobody's picking that up. I will like to, because I love the discussion and I think we can go on, and which is amazing, but given the time, I would like to give the word to the next question, and I hope that we can still having this kind of discussions with the next ones.
I think the next topic also kind of like comes at the right time for this kind of discussion, so we can somehow continue and take it from perhaps a more social angle, which is health. So the topic is sustainability meets health. And so personally, one of my favorite quotes from a designer and philosopher of design, Daniel Wall, is that designing for sustainability is ultimately designing for human and planetary health. And so basically, he draws a very strong connection between these two concepts, right? Health and sustainability. And thinking back in about 2020, we saw how vulnerable our healthcare systems are and how collectively we can become really weak from a both physical, think of COVID, but also mental perspective, a mental health perspective, if you think of the kind of repercussions that, lockdown had on us. And so maybe we can reconnect a little bit of that idea about the economy and healthcare that we were kind of exploring earlier. I wanted to ask, what do you make of this relationship between sustainability and health in the context of this absolutely absurd year? And I wanted to bounce it back to Fernanda, since also her startup has 100% to do with healthcare. And what is your take on that?
Yeah, no, I think it's such an interesting question. And I think what's really interesting about health is that it happens at every level, and we can like zoom in to the individual level and learning like I think this year, a lot of people have kind of reassessed what's sustainable for them on an individual level. What are the things I need to be healthy, happy, productive, have meaning in my life? But then also obviously on a social level, we have all of these healthcare systems being strained the world over. And there are conversations about the ideal healthcare systems and their pros and cons to many healthcare systems, but we're seeing this massive strain happening at every level. And I think there's really interesting because obviously I'm working in women's health, I'm working with menopause specifically. And there's a parallel here. Well, I will align sustainability with menopause. So menopause, for those who don't know, it's the last menstrual period in a woman's life. It usually comes with a few symptoms, many of them not necessarily nice symptoms to have, but it's not a pathology. And so the world of medicine doesn't always know what to do with it because you're not really sick. It's a natural part of life, but you can treat it medically, you can treat it with lifestyle changes. And the parallel I want to draw is that for individual and with our social systems, there's no silver bullet. And so actually we need to think long-term, and we need to think in a systemic way of what are the kind of solutions and strategies that will, in a way, help us have a healthier healthcare system moving forward. And I think sustainability, in the sense of one that can continue to sustain itself over time, is a super important concept that we're all starting to take seriously this year, which is, I think at the end of the day, a blessing, because it's about time we paid attention to these, whether on an individual level or a social one.
Awesome. Thank you. Do you, Nanette, have a take on this, on the relationship between health and sustainability, since you were emphasizing the social side of sustainability earlier?
Yeah, well, really, I'm not as much I'm really not an expert on healthcare or the whole health industry. I mean, logically, it's linked, and you can do a lot together with it. But it's not something I'm actually I won't say interested in it, but I never really thought about it in a thorough way to see how what my opinion is on that in that sense.
All right.
We really talk about healthcare systems and how it is interlinked, whether it's in the Western world or the other world, or how we can improve that. Or that's not really my my expertise.
Fair enough. Then maybe we can bounce it to Romy. I was curious. So since your experience, I don't know if this is emerging in your experience with the municipality of Amsterdam, but in terms of circularity, like maybe that's also an interesting angle to look at this. I don't know. What is your take?
Well, I have to think a bit about the take on circularity, but what I was thinking immediately when you talked about this question is that I think health is often looked at too much from a sort of internal and individual thing, while it is actually very much sort of collective, and a lot of the health problems that we face are often sort of outside of our bodies and not necessarily genetical or something. And I think therefore this understanding of health can definitely use an update. And I think sustainability and personal health or we need environmental health to have individually be healthy, because if your surrounding, for example, is not healthy, you will not be healthy. And so I think that those are massively combined, and that is also drawing back on the topic that we just talked about, why I think I choose environmental health sort of first, because we need that collectively to thrive individually as well. And then from a circular point of view, I'm not really now. I think, we definitely need to rethink our systems, with circular economy and, for example, with the donut economy, where you're really looking at both sides. I think that just the whole mindset needs to change, and we need a different understanding of what it means, actually. And I very much agree with what Fernanda is saying. I think we need to have that kind of change.
Right. And what you were saying made me also think about, of course, the pandemic was the center of the attention, but 2020 gave life to new diseases like Zoom fatigue. It's something that didn't exist, or maybe it did, dormant, right? Silent for those few people that were really affected by it. But now it's become like a collective experience, so we can collectively say, oh, wow, it's a thing. What you said just made me think of that. What do you think, Yuxify team, about?
I think I can say something about it. I was also thinking about what you were saying, Chiara. We want to change things, right? And I think now, because we have experienced certain these problems, really, and lots of people have experienced it, maybe it's easier to get the ball rolling. People have experienced that things are difficult now, and maybe it is also it's not a good thing, but there is some sort of awareness because we have experienced it, and
momentum.
Momentum. Not that's positive momentum, but
And what about Berkay? What do you think?
For me, I think when I think about the relationship between sustainability and health, I cannot go ahead without thinking about the COVID situation, of course, and its impact on the economic sustainability. I think the health part is quite big in terms of the people who got affected from it. But economically, I think it will be here to impact our lives for a much longer period. In that sense, I really hope that as a collective society, we can help each other out and get out from this situation. I was specifically happy to see World Health Organization taking initiatives to deliver also vaccinations to less developed countries, because I think it's again another example for ourselves to not make a difference between the developed and less developed, between the rich and poor. That's my take on that.
Great. Maybe Kelly, want to share closing thoughts on this topic?
No, because of the time, and I see that there are some questions already on the chat, so I would like to move on. So for now, I give on.
Berkay, the floor is yours again. All
right, let's try that with my connection. Actually, location seems to be better, but if something goes wrong, please, Chiara, take on and go ahead. So the last topic that we're going to touch upon today is about the future. So sustainability and future. We want to stay optimistic. We want to look ahead. And when we look ahead, actually, in 10 to 20 years, we're seeing that our planet is becoming warmer. It is becoming more populated. and we are becoming more connected. With all these aspects, we have a lot of challenges, and at the same time, we have a lot of opportunities. So I would like to just have a round on the most important thing to start doing right now in order to make sure that these changes can happen without really harming our planet, so in a sustainable way. And then we can go on with, so if you can actually maybe make your ideas tangible also with a few examples that you have from your personal experiences, that would be great.
Who do we talk to first? Maybe maybe Romy, since your work is also very much focused on futures as well.
It's a very broad, I feel like very broad kind of question, so I'm trying to think about how to best answer. But I think to create this sort of sustainable future, I think we need to, like I just said with the health, I think we need a different understanding of nature, but I also think we need to have the system change. Like, for example, with the work that I'm doing right now, besides only looking at sort of ways in which we can change regulation to help the transition to a circular economy, we're also looking at how can a municipality or government have a different role in society, not to just enforce new rules or something, but to really empower the society. So I think we need to have, like, what I see in the work that I'm doing is that people are becoming more aware of these changes that need to happen, and now it is kind of it's a struggle that you are working within this system that is designed in a certain way, and then you are trying to make these changes that are quite difficult because they go against to what we are already designed before. So I think it's a massive challenge, but from, I guess, my personal experience, you have to try to make small steps, like create big visions, and then take small steps to actually make those changes and start sharing and talking about your ideas and about your work. And then I think it can be contagious to other people.
I think that's really nice.
Okay.
What you say, because it also reminds me to what Nanette is doing with the sustainable fashion gift card, like very hands-on entrepreneurial. Like, okay, I see this opportunity to increase that, to move it forward. So I was wondering how, if I don't want to put words in Nanette's mouth, so I was wondering how you see it.
Well, it's indeed a very broad question, and also I also agree with Romy. There's so much that needs to be changed that it's also too big. So you need to have small steps. But one of the things, not to put too simply, but one of the things is also we're getting more aware. But there are also a lot of people somehow already know, but we also just have to do it. And sometimes you see examples, like, for instance, I know that the Dutch innovation company Dyco, they exist for I think 10 years, and they dye fabrics, polyester fabrics though, with CO2, so there's no water. It's involved, so it's much cleaner, etc., etc. And they were actually funded, or they got money, quite a lot of money, from the IKEA Foundation. But after years, they were still not able to sit at the table with the commercial branch of IKEA to maybe dye their, I don't know, curtains or their, what is it, cushions or something. Yeah. And I think that's, so somewhere in that organization, they really know, okay, this is moving forward. And then a lot of times foundations also separate from the commercial part. And then we don't make it happen to really make it grow. So there are already so many innovations that are already there and that can be implemented, and it takes effort and it takes money, but it is already there. So so that's also so why don't we do it? And that's that's sometimes it's a hard questions, and has to do with awareness, etc. It's sometimes what I've seen also at ING, it takes sometimes someone that actually gets a certain position that actually is really convinced that it needs to happen. It's sometimes so there are a lot of things that needs to happen, but on a certain moment, you also have to, you need someone who actually wants to do it.
And there are so many aspects of it. I mean, it's kind of interesting, Nanette, that you were mentioning the awareness, and Romy is also mentioning influencing people. So that plays a big role in that. And you have probably seen in your LinkedIn recently what Queen's Gambit did for chess sales. So a documentary or a series that people watch can actually have an immediate effect on the sales of how many chessboards are being sold in this online world at the moment. So that's quite interesting, I think, and there are so many aspects of it to keep that topic hot and trending, because I think we managed to get it to that we are talking about it in the events, in the TV shows, in more publicly in our organizations, but we just need more of it, more awareness, and also probably not creating separate tracks for these sustainable initiatives, but trying to democratize it a bit more across the organizations. What's your take on those, Fernanda?
Yeah, so I completely agree with what's been said, and I think there's something that people can do on every level. So whether you're an entrepreneur working in it, I think, Romy, we were talking about the mixture of idealist and pragmatism that needs to happen, maybe if you're at the forefront like Nanette, but also if you're just voting with your wallet and thinking about Christmas presents, right? And where you're going to shop. There's this principle, this lens of seeing the world I really like that I've been thinking a lot about recently, which is second order effects. And so this is thinking like every action you take has a consequence, and then that consequence will have other consequences, and so on and so forth. And sometimes 3 or 4 consequences down, there are things that you don't know about. And that's kind of what we're seeing with, for instance, when you shop at Amazon, the way they're treating their workers, they're putting perhaps, small retailers out of business if you're going to be critical of them on that approach. But it's just like having awareness of those longer term consequences, I think, is a really powerful tool to look at the decisions you're making in your everyday life. And that can be a lens to perhaps help you make some of those more positive decisions longer term. So that's my challenge to people watching. Think about the second order consequences.
Awesome.
Nice. This is something that you can apply from tomorrow onwards.
Exactly. Very practical.
Amazing.
All right. Do we have any other experiences, maybe from the UXify team, that you would like to share, that our viewers can also go back and apply these initiatives or these changes?
Yeah, I think it's not like a good thing, but I think it's so difficult to get this support base, what we're all talking about, and there is no book that tells you how to do it. And especially when you're very young and you have this big organization, how can you make this happen? How can you plant these seeds that has to grow? It's really step by step, and they're serious talking technology. Yeah, it's just so difficult, and you have to keep your energy. I think you have to spread it and then create a group and then make sure that if you not have the energy that moment, that someone takes over, and then it's a challenge. But
sustainable for yourself as well.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Take care of yourself. Drink a nice cup of confidence every day, and just go ahead, right? And in the end, honestly. It's put down super simple, actually in a very simplistic way, but I guess or give each other confidence. I guess that's more practical, actually. If you can't give yourself confidence, then try to empower others and give others confidence that they can do what they want to do. and take those little steps, because those 3rd, 4th degree consequence will happen somewhere. It's just we need to know that and believe in that. So.
Yeah, and also good to have a community as well, because then you can help each other, like in those moments when things are a bit less nice, are more challenging. So
Yeah, maybe one way of doing it is also, because I think these kind of thoughts mostly stay in the system 2. So if we follow Daniel Kahneman's system 1 and 2 definition there, oftentimes when people need to talk about money, it feels like it's almost instinct based on instincts, and it seems like it's always coming from the system 1, like most of the actions that are being done in the business environment. But when it's about sustainability, how can we get it to an instinctual level that we can automatically think about it and act on it? I think it's quite important to see as well. So naturally, maybe one would expect that they would come from system 1 instincts, but it proves to be different.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting what you're saying, sort of creating sustainable habits to make it to the first choice, or to make it the automatic thing that you do. Which is interesting, I think. Sorry, it was not my turn.
Thanks for joining in. So if you don't have any other topics or things that you want to contribute for the last part, for the feature part, I would like to get to the Q&A where we can get a few questions from the audience. I've already seen a few. Maybe Kelly, you can help us to communicate them to our participants.
Yeah, so the first one is actually about the card for you and Annette. They ask, is the card itself sustainably produced? Is it spent in stores that produce sustainable products, or both? Like, what makes it sustainable, pretty much, I think.
Well, yeah, it's a digital one, and we have a physical one, and we have packaging, because people do want to sometimes just have this moment that they give each other a tangible present. But yeah, we printed it sustainably, so the card is just of what is it? Cardboard with what is it? Bio ink. The package is with also bio ink. No, it's not bio ink, but it's printed with a laser printer or something that uses less water, uses less energy, and so on and so on. So both the card and the packaging, we looked at sustainability.
Okay.
And everyone where you can redeem it. Of course, we have a checklist. So we do an intake, we have the questionnaire, and we do a little research on whether they produce sustainably, which means that 80% or more, they need to adhere to our criteria.
Okay, for the stores that are
stores and the brands, and for
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Which other question do we have here?
I think there are more comments than questions, really.
Yeah, indeed, I think as well.
Which is quite interesting. There is a comment from, going back to design, which has been sort of like a red thread throughout our discussion, but like we talked about so many things, and it felt a little bit went into the background. So let's jump into it briefly with this comment from Radhakrishnan. I feel the best balance would be to include sustainability, but also reward the users by making the products desirable, viable for the company, and feasible for all. So that's a quite interesting take. Does any of the panelists have a perspective on this, or a remark with this combination of, in terms of frameworks, right? How, we discussed about frameworks throughout this conversation. So this is another framework that has been presented to us, the combination of sustainability, desirability, feasibility, and viability. So what do you make of this? Is it sustainable?
I can share something. So I was recently giving a lecture where I was talking about viability, feasibility, and desirability as being pretty a classic innovation framework, right? And innovation is at the center. And I actually think adding sustainability to that dynamic is really powerful. And I think that's where kind of the dose of pragmatism comes in, because we do still live in a globalized capitalist system. So for it to work, short of a revolution, which should happen anyway, but in the short term, coming up with solutions that work within that system that are still, have product market fit, that still are able to exist and be sustainable businesses in a way that's also socially and planetarily sustainable, I think is super important and can't be ignored, and should perhaps even be more emphasized in education. If we're talking about education of sustainability, how do you make it viable within a business world, a business setting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Fernanda is saying, and I also think that it shouldn't be that you are in front of a shelf of products and you only, like, the sustainability one is only desirable because of the sustainability aspect. It should be the complete product or the complete package, and it shouldn't be just you putting in all your goodwill or your idealistic approach to pick that one. Of course you want to pick that one, but then it should also, I think, made sort of easy, and then also with sort of systemic changes or other things, it should be easy for citizens, it should be easy for people to do it and not make everyone's life harder just to be sustainable, because I think it should be thought of in a broader sense.
Yeah, and there is a question that I think is a bit related to that. Is are customers the most underused resource in sustainability? Like, companies invest in CO2 emissions and trees, but what about including customers as active participants in the practice? What do you think?
Well, I think we do see that. Well, that's one of the things I try to do with the gift card, to also what we see that the customer who buys a gift card is either very conscious, doesn't want to buy a regular gift card, because then they feel like, okay, I'm not going to give someone a present that I don't agree with, or it is not aligned with my values. So I buy this one and give it to someone who isn't maybe that interested, but does love fashion. So that was for me kind of the trick. Like, okay, that's handy because it makes someone who is involved actually inspire someone else who is maybe not as involved yet. So that's for me, it was kind of like a nice way, in a friendly way, to sort of inspire someone else to say, hey, maybe if you love fashion, try this one out, instead of saying what you're doing is really bad for the environment. You should buy sustainable fashion. Because for me, that's it is also a way, of course. I think sometimes it helps too, but positively inspiring others, and also let it people do the job and inspire others, not you just company. I think that could definitely work. But you do see more and more that there are companies also with wallets, like digital wallets, that you can only spend your digital currency as at Impact Shop. You see more of these initiatives popping up in the Netherlands. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Any additional thoughts? Because we're gonna wrap up slowly. It's almost time for that. So Fernanda and Romy, do you want to add anything to what you have been already communicating?
No, I mean, go ahead.
Oh, well, on this specific point, yes, I definitely think that it's very important to include customers and users and to validate that as much as possible. I think, for example, also Fernanda is doing that a lot with her work. And in general, I think it's very important to think about social issues and sustainable issues and about this future, but it's also very important not to be afraid and to be scared of what this future might look like and all the sort of problems that are facing us currently, to sort of find a good way to use the knowledge that you have and the power that you have to make a change.
That's lovely. Completely agree. I think we need, and I think part of our role potentially in this, and certainly what I'm trying to do, is to try to bring a dose of pragmatic optimism, because I think, especially when talking about consumers, there is a temptation to just like shut down and avoid it, right? And there's terrifying prospects and there's terrifying news every day, and actually it's really empowering messages. And yeah, Nanette, I love what you're doing, and I love the idea that you can kind of spread the word through gifts and kind of recruit someone into the green revolution with a gift. That's so lovely, and that's really kind of the energy that we need to be bringing to this, and helping people share.
Awesome, thank you. It's great to hear the dynamics also between the panelists. So it has been a great experience for myself to listen to all of your thoughts, and not just only thoughts, but actually really the actions that you're putting into it, with the work that you're doing at the moment with your companies. So it makes us really happy and proud. So keep it up. Keep making the world a better place for all of us. So thank you all for joining, and thank you all for doing that.
And thank you all for inviting us, and share the stories.
Yes, thank you. It was really lovely.
Nice. So I would also like to thank the UXFI team one more time. So yes, a small applause for all the achievements that we have done in 2020, and an exciting year is ahead for us. So we want to improve how we bring the community together. How can we be more valuable to our members? So for that, after each event, we are sharing a feedback form for your feedback about the event and also for the ideas. It's already on YouTube chat, so if you have ideas to share, please drop a message to us. And in January, instead of starting with an event, we're actually kicking off the year with a workshop that we're gonna have with our members. We're gonna announce it on our meetup page, and we will be online looking for your ideas. So thanks already, Wesley and Radhakrishnan for sharing your input, and we hope we can see you there in that workshop as well.
All 1,000 of you are invited.
1,100 already, I think.
Indeed.
Yes.
1,100 of you. Show up, please.
Please, we'll make it happen. We'll break out rooms. There are many people who can facilitate it.
Yeah.
The more ideas, the better for us. So we are really looking forward to shaping the future of UXFI Eindhoven with the involvement of all of you guys. So thanks a lot for this evening again, and see you in 2021.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye. Hi there.
All right, the stream has
Hi.
ended.